In one of the quietest neighborhoods of Los Angeles, a man vanished under mysterious circumstances. On April 9th, 2022, there was no sign of struggle, no sound was heard, and no trace was found of Daniel Wang. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, rumors began to spread. Conspiracy theories abounded, and his name appeared everywhere. So, what really happened to him? Was he kidnapped, murdered, or did he simply run away? Welcome to this channel where we bring you the most mysterious and terrifying stories from around the world. Today we will be sharing with you the terrifying ordeal of Daniel Wang, the Intruder Killer. Before we begin, we would like to thank you for your continued support. Now let's get into the details of this mind-bending tale. Who is Daniel Wang? In the heart of Los Angeles lived a man named Daniel Wang, an Asian American man in his early 30s. He was known as a brilliant software engineer working for a prominent tech company. His colleagues described him as a dedicated and hard-working individual, always willing to lend a helping hand and eager to take on new challenges. Despite his success at work, Daniel preferred to keep his personal life private. He was known to be a humble and reserved person, not one to draw attention to himself. Outside of work, he enjoyed hiking and exploring the city's diverse culinary scene. However, according to his neighbors, they rarely saw him. They say that he kept mostly to himself, didn't speak much, and only ventured out occasionally to buy groceries or take his morning jog. One neighbor even said that she had lived across from Daniel for 5 years and never even had a proper conversation with him. She described him as being rather introverted and kept to himself. Another neighbor said that he often saw Daniel jogging around the block early in the morning, but that was the extent of their interaction. In the days leading up to his disappearance, Daniel had been acting strangely. According to his co-worker, who was the last person to see him, Daniel seemed unusually tense and quiet. As if a heavy weight was pressing down on his shoulders, he had a habit of biting his nails when he was nervous, and his usually bright eyes were clouded with worry. It was unusual for him to call off work, but he did so 2 days in a row prior to his disappearance. When he did show up to work on the Monday morning, his co-workers noticed that he was wearing the same clothes as the day before and looked disheveled. It was as if he hadn't slept in days, and dark circles under his eyes gave him a haunted appearance. The co-worker tried to make conversation, but Daniel only offered short, clipped responses. By lunchtime, his colleagues were becoming increasingly concerned about his well-being. The cheerful banter in the break room was replaced by worried whispers as they tried to piece together what could be wrong. How did Daniel disappear? The mystery deepens when we examine the circumstances surrounding Daniel's disappearance. On April 9th, 2022, after his strange behavior at work, Daniel left his office and drove home. His car was later found parked in front of his house, but there was no sign of forced entry, and his keys and wallet were still inside the vehicle. The last confirmed sighting of Daniel was caught on surveillance footage from a neighbor's house. It shows him walking his dog, a brown pit bull terrier mix named Tofu, in the afternoon. The video quality is grainy, but it captures Daniel's hunched posture and the dog's trotting gait. There's nothing out of the ordinary in the footage, which makes Daniel's disappearance all the more perplexing. When Daniel didn't show up for work the next day, his colleagues began to worry. They tried calling him, but his phone went straight to voicemail. At first, his friends and family assumed that he was simply taking a much-needed vacation. After all, he had been working around the clock for months and was known to take long breaks when he felt overwhelmed. But as the hours turned into days, their concern grew. They called the police and reported him missing, but Daniel's whereabouts remained a mystery. The investigation begins. With no leads, the police began searching Daniel's house, hoping to find some clues as to what had happened to him. What they found was disturbing. The house was immaculate, almost to the point of being untouched. Food was left on the counter, clothes lay on the bed, and books were strewn across the living room floor. It was as if Daniel had vanished into thin air, leaving behind every earthly possession. The police also discovered traces of blood in the house, which raised concerns about whether Daniel had been the victim of a crime. However, despite the presence of blood, no other evidence of foul play was found, and the police were unable to confirm whether the blood belonged to Daniel or someone else. The case quickly turned into a cold one, with investigators unable to follow up on any viable leads. Daniel's friends and family were desperate for answers. They organized search parties and posted missing persons posters all over the city. But Daniel remained missing, and the case grew colder with each passing day. Months after the disappearance, the police released a statement saying that they believed Daniel had been the victim of a crime. They also admitted that they were baffled by the lack of evidence. The only clue they had to go on was a single strand of DNA found on a pair of his socks. Unfortunately, it didn't match anyone in the national database. Daniel's family refused to give up hope. They hired a private investigator and started their own search for answers. But even they had to admit that the odds were stacked against them. Daniel had practically vanished from the face of the earth, and without a body, it was nearly impossible to prove that he had been the victim of a crime. Was it an intruder? The internet is filled with theories about what could have happened to Daniel. Many believe that he was the victim of an intruder who entered his home, attacked him, and then fled. This theory is supported by the fact that Daniel's house showed signs of a struggle and that he had recently been acting strangely, which could have made him a target. However, this theory doesn't explain why the intruder didn't steal anything valuable or why Daniel's body has never been found. Others believe that Daniel knew his attacker and that the incident was not random. This theory is based on the fact that Daniel was found without his wallet or keys, which would have been easy to grab if the perpetrator was familiar with his habits. But if he did know his killer, why didn't he fight back? And why did he leave his valuables behind? Did he run away? Another popular theory is that Daniel staged his disappearance. Some believe that he was unhappy with his life and decided to start anew somewhere else. This theory is based on the fact that Daniel was known to be a private person and may have wanted to disappear from the public eye. However, this theory doesn't explain why he would leave behind his belongings or why he would put his family through such emotional turmoil. If he really wanted to start a new life, wouldn't it have been easier to simply move to another city and start over? Was he hiding something? There are many unanswered questions in this case, and the lack of evidence has led to all sorts of speculation. Some believe that Daniel was involved in something illegal, and that his disappearance is related to his work as a software engineer. They theorize that he could have been working on a project that was highly confidential, or that he had stumbled upon something that he wasn't supposed to see. This theory is supported by the fact that Daniel was acting strangely in the days leading up to his disappearance, and that the police have not been able to rule out the possibility of foul play. Revenge theory. Another theory is that Daniel was the victim of revenge. Some believe that he had made an enemy at work, or that he had been targeted by someone who wanted to harm him personally. This theory is supported by the fact that Daniel S. House showed signs of a struggle, and that he had been acting strangely in the days leading up to his disappearance. It's possible that he had been followed home, and that his attacker knew his routine. Public analysis. Over the years, amateur sleuths have taken to online platforms to share their thoughts on the case. Some believe that Daniel was the victim of a random act of violence, while others believe that he knew his attacker. There are even those who believe that Daniel staged his own disappearance in order to collect insurance money or to escape his life. However, considering that Daniel's life insurance policy had lapsed and that he had no obvious enemies, none of these theories have been proven. What happened after? Since Daniel's disappearance, his family has received numerous tips and leads, but none of them have panned out. They have been left in the dark, wondering what happened to their loved one and why. The police have been unable to provide them with any answers, and the case remains open. As the years pass, the mystery deepens, and the chances of finding Daniel alive become slimmer and slimmer. The Intruder Killer case is one of the most baffling and mysterious crime cases in recent history. Daniel Wang vanished without a trace, leaving behind a mountain of unanswered questions. While theories abound, the truth remains elusive. Will Daniel's fate ever be uncovered? Will we ever know the full truth behind his disappearance? Only time will tell. We hope you enjoyed this chilling tale. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. And before you go, check out the next video, The Horrifying Murder of Meredith Cooker. Until next time, stay safe and watch your back. You never know who or what is lurking in the shadows. Thank you for watching.